Hi, in this video with Natalia Richards, something went a little bit wrong and it didn't record me. So when I'm talking, there'll just be a static picture of me. You won't actually see my mouth moving, but I really was there. I hope you enjoy it. Hi, Natalia. Welcome to the Anne Boleyn Files YouTube channel and podcast. It's really, really lovely to have you here.
Thank you, Claire, and thanks ever so much for inviting me. I feel really honoured. It's lovely to see you.
I'm really, really happy about this new series that I'm doing, just talking to authors and people that have sort of history hobbies. And
it's a nice new angle, isn't it, on things?
Yes.
And I was watching you with Martha Jean Johnson yesterday. Is she a lovely lady?
Yes, lovely.
A lovely lady. And it's such a nice idea, this.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it. Thank you.
Excellent.
So you're obviously the author of The Falcon's Rise and The Falcon's Flight, Anne Boleyn novels. But before we get on to that, could you tell us a bit about your background, sort of introduce yourself, your background, and how you became interested in Tudor history in the first place?
Absolutely, yes. Well, I was born in Derbyshire, and I had the absolute joy of going to a convent school where history was absolutely encouraged. It was wonderful. And because my mum loved history, it was great because she could bring books home and I could read those books too. But my whole schooling was really about history and the groups I was with. And it was just wonderful. And I obviously finished my schooling and I went on to art college and I became an illustrator. And when I finished college, I specialised in historical illustration. But my love of history, which I'd always had, all these years, it overcame the art bit. And so I thought, no, I've got to be able to use my love of history and do a job that's got history connected with it. So I became a museum curator. And I did that job for about 35 years. And studied everything in different museums, from China to teddy bears to Victoriana, Militaria. And I just loved it. Just a job to do with the past. But yeah, fabulous.
I didn't realise that you used to be illustrator.
Yes.
I did not know that about you.
Yeah, I did my art degree. And I've always drawn from the age of my first competition I won when I was 4 years old. It was a Brook Bonds competition and it was a park scene. I've still got it. And it's quite sweet, actually. It's all in proportion.
So what was your media? Drawing?
Drawing, really. Yes, it was. Okay. It was sketching, not painting, not fine art. I like to do the drawing, the illustration side. I was always drawing historical figures. I was always doing projects where I could bring a historical figure into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I haven't drawn for many, many years, but I think writing just took over. There's always an outlet somewhere if you're creative, be it writing or dancing or singing or whatever. But it's still there, but you've got to practice with art. And I've not done it for ages. Ages and ages. Yeah.
And obviously your novels are Anne Boleyn novels. So what drew you specifically to Anne Boleyn as the focus for your novels? Was there one moment, or has it been a slow burn over, decades? Or
I think it's decades and decades. As I said, my mum used to bring home Jean Plaidy books and, those types of books. And of course, I read them at the age of 8, 9, 10. I think was it Brief Gaudy Hour? One of them just like, oh, it really got to me. And I was just absolutely mesmerised by Anne. And it started when I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, reading these books that my mum just brought home. And of course, then in 1972-ish, we had the Six Wives of Henry VIII come on television. And it's funny because I was thinking about this, that the young generation now have got the Tudors. And my generation, of course, we're looking back to the Six Wives of Henry VIII. And you've heard this 100 times before of what influenced my generation.
Yeah, it's quite often the Six Wives of Henry VIII or Anne of the Thousand Days.
Yeah, it comes up again and again, doesn't it? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I became really fascinated by Anne just because the horror of it. I was just horrified that this beautiful woman, in my mind, came to this dreadful end with this monster of a man and the whole romance of it. And it wasn't obviously till later I started to look into the actual facts of it and, a bit more sensibly. But I was absolutely smitten from a, very early age with Anne's story and the romance of the whole thing. Yeah, that's fabulous. She's the only wife I ever really was interested in, ever.
Mm. A lot of people are like that, I think. And
Really?
Anne just seems to grab you, I think.
Yes,
There's something about her. She sort of reaches through the centuries.
she does. Yeah, the whole drama of it, and the sadness and the unfairness got to me. The unfairness of the whole thing, and how somebody could love somebody and then that happen.
Yeah.
It's gripped me. Mm,
And there are obviously, I mean, so many portrayals of Anne Boleyn,
mm,
historical and fictional. I mean, we've
mm.
mentioned a few here. What's your version of Anne like? Who's your Anne? And does she differ a lot from others, or introduce us to your Anne Boleyn?
Well, the obvious thing with my Anne is that she's a young Anne. She's the child Anne and the teenage Anne. And this is something I really wanted to look into myself because I didn't want to write about the grown up Anne. That's been done a lot. And back in when I was first writing, there was very little about the young Anne. And so that's what my Anne is. It's the young Anne and her development and how her personality develops and how she grew up and how those things affect her later on in life. So and it's also a rounded Anne. I want to try my Anne in my books. I want the whole picture of Anne and her personality, what affected her, what didn't, her home life, going abroad, all of these things. So hopefully, it's a young, rounded Anne.
Okay. And is she sort of precocious? What's her personality like?
I kept changing this all the time when I was writing. 1 minute she was feisty and precocious. I thought, wait, hang on. That maybe comes a little bit later. She's still very young at the beginning. When she goes abroad, she's only 13. So it's very easy to put all these later characteristics onto her. So I had to rein myself in a little bit and try and remember what I was like at 13 and what we were all like at 13.
Mm.
And we were a little bit confident, a little bit reticent, a bit brave, a bit scared. So I was trying to make her realistic, not something that was really sort of strident and confident, because we don't know. We know later on maybe, but not when she's growing up. She's this little, she's uncertain. She's trying out a new world, and she's young.
So you obviously go with the 1501 birth date there.
Well, I do at the moment. I was going backwards and forwards with that all the time, constantly changing, constantly, and it still might not be the right date. We don't really know.
No, I'd love to know for certain. I'd love
I
us to
would.
find a document or something that really tells us.
Yeah, that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? Because it was on my mind for a year trying to sort out, and all the papers I went through and look at the different information. Would she have got at 16, come back at 16 from France? I don't know. Bit young. I don't know. I don't know.
Now, going back to you as an author, moving away from Anne for a minute, what does your typical writing day sort of look like? Do you have a rigid routine, rituals? Where do you write?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite spot or a
Ta-da!
setting? Okay.
I have no ritual whatsoever. I can't get up in the morning and never have. So early risers is out for me completely. So I've worked out the best thing for me is to get up whenever, go out for the morning, do my jobs, housework, stuff, get rid of some energy, then sit down about 2 o'clock in the afternoon when I've worn myself out a bit and I can sit still. And then I'll work till about 6. And then I come off the story. And then at 6 o'clock, 6:30 or 7, my research starts for the following day. So I prepare in the evening for the next day's whatever I'm writing about. So,
Okay.
so I've got a bit of a routine. But if someone rings up and says, "Are you going to come out for the day?" Yeah, absolutely. I won't say no. I'm not coming out. Which is why it's taken so long to do anything. Everything takes me so long.
You have too many friends, obviously.
Too distracted. Yeah, any excuse. Yes, I'm coming. You know.
And when you write, how do you balance, historical accuracy with storytelling? I mean, that's something that I'm really worried about
I
for
heard
when
yesterday.
I'm thinking of doing creative writing. I worry that the historian side of me will just
Yeah,
sort of get in the way.
yeah.
So yeah, how do you balance that? And is there ever a moment when you have to blend or bend a fact slightly,
Mm.
to fit your narrative? Do you change things, or do you prefer to do a sort of retelling of Anne's story?
Yeah, so I mean, I was thinking about you yesterday when you said about, doing this, and
Yeah, when I talked to Martha,
I'm
yeah.
just the same as you. Um, I won't bend a fact. If we know something's for definite, I won't bend it at all. But I have to make up scenes. So I try and take the things we know, the conversations we know, the things that happened, and put those into fictional scene because we don't know how it was said or when it was said often. But I won't bend what things we actually know. But getting bogged down with research is a nightmare because sometimes I will write maybe 2 pages and it's, oh, there we go, and look back and I think that's just a history lesson. That's just awful. And I'll cut it down to a small paragraph. So all that work into all of that has had to be just taken out because it's just too heavy. I love it. I love it myself. I want every little detail to go in there. I want to know everything, but I don't think every reader is going to want that. And it
Yeah,
is
that's
very,
what I
very
worry
hard.
about.
You'll be
Just
able to do it.
getting bogged down in the detail.
Yeah, I think as long as you know that you're doing it, and I know I'm doing it, and then
Mm.
take out the stuff. I mean, often I'll read back and think that can go, that can go. I can say that in one sentence, that whole paragraph, and it's a shame because I like the detail,
Yeah.
but it can be very tedious, I think, for readers. Um, I do love detail.
Yes, me too.
I do.
And how do because you mentioned about how you split your day into doing some creative writing
Mm,
and then preparing in the evening, doing your research in the evening,
mm.
preparing for the day. Is that how you work, or do you spend months researching before you actually even begin writing the novel? And how deep do you go? What sources do you use?
Okay, before I write, I look at what I'm going to do, and I like to get a very good idea of what's happening everywhere around Anne. So, for instance, I will have what's going off in Spain, what's going off in England, what's going off in France. And I need all of that to be able to put Anne in the middle of it all. So, my research initially is finding out what was going off, what was happening. Um, yeah, I make sure I'm up to date with all the latest Anne Boleyn books and sources. Your site, I mean, the Anne Boleyn files is fantastic because I can just double check something and just make sure I'm on the right track and I've got the right information because sometimes you just go down a rabbit hole and just get lost. And so I come back and check on stuff. But yeah, I use letters and papers and chronicles, the Internet Archive, all of these things to constantly find new stuff before I really sort of start to make sure I've got enough material to make something of it. But what I do now, and I mean, many authors use it now, is the calendar of state papers, British and foreign, which, as you know, are just a wonderful source. They're such fun. And you've got it all there. You've got every day listed of what was going off in the court. And it's really, I think, for me, for my story, it's pretty much what all I really need to know. Um, because the truth is much more interesting than fiction, what was happening. And sometimes you'll go for, I'll read a whole year, or, not a year, a whole month of entries, and there's nothing going off. There's nothing really much happening. So you might have to flick over to May or June. But I mean, I don't know. Do you use it yourself?
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I
And
mean,
I love, that you get like the Spanish side of things. You'll get, the ambassadors saying sort of one thing and
oh,
being a bit gossipy. And then,
yes.
you've got the English side of things saying something a little bit different.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
you have to take into account bias and who they're
Completely.
writing for,
Yes.
what their sources are, who they've heard this juicy
Yeah.
bit of information
Yeah. Exactly.
from.
Who's
And
paying them?
yes, yeah.
But did you remember the one that the chap said to Cromwell? I've written it down. You
Oh,
will have
go
seen
on,
it.
go on.
Right. This chap writes to Cromwell, "My hawk and hounds are at your service. I should be glad to see you fly her, as it will be for your comfort and health. And you are disposed to be fat."
Oh, that's a brilliant one.
I mean, whoa.
It's like, go and get some exercise, Cromwell.
You are disposed to be fat. I mean, you don't say that to Cromwell. I mean, that's his friend.
Yeah, I obviously knew him well enough to be able to
I
get away
know.
with that.
And there's another one where you'll have seen it, I'm sure. There's this chap, he might be an ambassador or somebody, and he writes back and he says, "I've had enough, sick to death, I'm tired, I'm worn out, I've got a bad leg, I've got a rubbish horse, I've got one eye," and you get the impression he wants to come home. He's only 40. He's only
Yes.
40. I don't think, what? You're a young man, but then, I suppose,
Yeah.
but poor man.
If you've been serving the monarch and fighting and whatever for
Look,
years, then yeah.
I'd love to know what happened to him, but I'm fed up. Rubbish
Yeah.
horse.
It is wonderful. You find these little snippets, and they're
You
often
do.
from people that you've never heard of, and they're
Yeah,
just brilliant, aren't they?
absolutely, absolutely.
Little jewels, little gems just sitting
I
there
know,
waiting for you to
I
read.
know. But I've never found out yet who Lady Lucy is. Have you? Lady,
No,
she
no, I'll have
pops
to
up
look.
occasionally. Uh,
Okay.
who is this Lady Lucy? But anyway, but I recommend for anybody, as you know, it's on the internet and it's
Yes. Yeah.
easily downloadable. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
So yeah, so in the evenings I sit down and I do my, that week's whatever.
Mm.
Yeah.
And have you ever found something in the chronicles or in letters and papers and that? Have you ever uncovered a detail that has made you change perhaps a scene or a
Mm.
character that you were going one way and then you find something which suddenly makes you stop and think and have to change it?
Yeah, it's funny that not so much with the two books I've written, but with the research I've been doing and I've been writing, and I've had to go back and rewrite some stuff because I always was under the impression that maybe her father in Norfolk, Anne's father and Uncle Norfolk, were quite willing for this marriage, for Anne and Henry. I don't know why, but I thought, yeah, they'll probably, yes, it'd be great to have my niece as queen, and the father was willing or whatever. So I was writing away along these lines, and then suddenly I read in letters and papers. Now I know Norfolk was a survivor, and as you know, he said whatever he had to say to survive. But he said he had not been the promoter of this marriage, but had dissuaded it. And had it not been for him and her father, who pretended to be mad to have a better means of opposing this marriage, it would have happened in secrecy a year ago. Now, that's from something he said. So what he's saying, it's not me, don't look at us, we had nothing to do with it, did they, or what? So I had to go back and think, okay, perhaps they weren't that willing. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think?
No, I've come across that before, and yeah, the fact that it does seem that that Thomas Boleyn and Thomas Howard weren't
On board.
pushing Anne at Henry. I think they were probably reacting to things. I think it was down to Henry VIII, spotting her, and
Yeah.
then they were having to react to that and then figure out where that was taking them. And I think Anne would have turned, to her father for advice.
Yeah.
But
Because she was
yeah.
furious, wasn't she? She was furious with her father and wouldn't speak to him.
Mm.
But, as you say, I mean, when things go wrong, they'll say anything like,
Well, yes,
not
yeah.
our
Wasn't
problem.
me.
Wasn't me, no,
Yes.
off you pop. So, yeah, so I'd be writing one thing and then thinking, actually, I better just rein that in a bit, just in case. I don't know. But yeah, it was interesting, that one.
Yeah. Now, obviously, I've met up with you at Hever Castle
Yes.
before now. But do you travel to places like that to get inspiration or to do research? I mean, did you go to France, for example, when you were sort of looking into, Anne's sort of earlier life and her education and that? Do you visit places? And how does that help you with your writing?
Mm.
Does it
It,
help?
yeah, for me, it's absolutely essential. I want to be able to describe something so well that people who can't get to the Low Countries or Loire Valley can see through my eyes what Anne could see. And I love when I went to Mechlin, I followed Anne's journey and the streets where she was, and she lands at the little port, and she goes to the fish market, and she goes down the streets with the lovely coloured houses and winding along past the meat market. And you can visualize it all. And I could never, ever do that without going to see these places myself. Now, maybe, okay, you use Google Maps now. They weren't around when I was writing this. You couldn't do this. But it's really useful to be able to see distances for me as well. I can't say she got off the boat and entered the palace. No, she had a mile to get to the palace or whatever. So yeah, that was lovely. And seeing the layout of Mechlin, how it was and what Anne would have seen, and the waterways, and the same with France, to see the actual chateau where she stayed, and and countryside and how things changed, and each little area, what was specific to that area, how meals changed and food changed and tastes, and going down to the south of France and the weather. So yeah, I hope that people will read what I've written and they can be there too. They can imagine it. So it's important.
Yeah, yeah. When I went to the Loire Valley and I went to
Oh,
Blois and
oh,
Amboise and I mean, they are stunning. And you think, how lucky she was to visit those beautiful places and to be surrounded by that art and architecture, and all the artists and Da
what?
Vinci was there, and it
I
must
wouldn't
be
want to come home.
amazing. No.
Yeah, if only she'd stayed. What a lovely life she'd have had.
Yes, she
The
would be
warmth.
safe, hopefully.
She would. I think to come back to England, it's quite dirty, pokey. People are always complaining, aren't they? Foreigners like Erasmus that it's filthy and damp and horrible, and I think France would have been lovely,
Yeah, I
much
think it must have been a real shock for like Catherine of Aragon
nicer.
going
Yeah,
from Spain,
yeah,
having been in the Alhambra and going from Spain to dirty London.
yeah.
And then Anne having spent that time, Mechelen and the Loire Valley,
Mm.
and going back. Yeah,
It must
what
be
a
horrible. I mean,
culture shock. And yes.
yeah, cold, drafty windows, papered up with paper to keep the drafts out, and rushes
Yeah.
that weren't changed according to Erasmus. You never changed the rushes, and they're filthy. Um, maybe France was not as clean, but I sort of think it was marble and lovely, and
It was certainly more Renaissance in style. Apart from Hampton Court Palace was obviously done
yes,
beautifully by Cardinal Wolsey. But if you
yes,
think of the other places,
yeah,
yeah,
pokey, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I think Amboise is beautiful.
it really is.
Really was lovely, and just the warmth of the weather and being able to wear lovely light fabrics, and yeah, she was lucky, wasn't she?
Yeah,
Lucky
yeah. What
girl.
an upbringing she had.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Amazing. Now, the books that you've got out at the moment, The Falcon's Rise and The Falcon's
Mm,
Flight, I love those
bless you.
titles. How did you go about choosing the titles, and can you explain the sort of the symbolism of
Yeah,
why they're
okay.
called the Falcon? Why they've got the Falcon.
Right. Well, as we know, the falcon was the crest of the Butlers and the Ormond family. So when Anne married Henry, as you know, she was allowed to have um, a crest, and she chose the falcon, the Ormond falcon. So we had that already in my mind. And it's funny because I can never write a word or a sentence without a title. I have to have a title or I can't write anything. Is it strange? Yeah, I could sit there for months. I can't write. I have to have the title.
Okay, so the
So,
title comes first. You
yes,
don't write your story and then think,
no,
oh, I've got to come up with a title now.
no,
Oh,
never,
that's
never.
interesting.
No, the first thing on the page is the title and how I want it to be. So, yeah, so I thought a falcon rising up, a falcon. Now, what do birds do? they rise, they hover, they fly, they get the prey. Oh, I don't know what we're going to do here. I can't say the falcons hover. That sounds no good at all. So I thought, well, the falcons rise is nice, because that to me is the beginning of Anne. It's the very start when she's little and she's growing up, and it's the rise of Anne and her childhood and all of that. And then we get to falcon's flight. And I thought, what happens when she takes off? She gets to France, she takes off. And that for me was the flight. She's out there against the blue sky. She's having a wonderful time in France. And that's the flight bit. And then, of course, I've got other thoughts for other things. But yeah, so it came solely from the falcon and how I can use that sort of terminology of what a bird does. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. And with those two books, I mean, so your focus, at the moment is Anne's sort of earlier life. So we're not talking about her execution or anything like that. But is there a scene in one of those books that was difficult to write emotionally? Was there a scene that was like that? Was there a scene that you found difficult?
Not in the early books. No, except the only thing I was puzzling over is how Anne felt as a child when she left England to go to Mechlin. And I was thinking, first of all, I had her very confident and not bothered, and that's great, and that's fine. Then I thought, no, this is the Anne we know. What was the Anne like then? So then I had her a little bit less confident and a bit concerned about going, because, at 13 years old, okay, we have children going to boarding school now, but then this was a big thing. So that was I had to keep changing all the time. Is she bothered about going? Is she not bothered? And I think as you read the book, she starts off all right, and then the confidence starts to slip a little bit. And she, what if she doesn't like me? All these fears that come to you. And then, of course, in my book, she gets there and meets, Margaret, and disaster. Poor Anne. So that was a tricky one that I kept going backwards and forwards with that, thinking, how would I depict her here? So that's difficult.
Yeah, because it's human. It would be human nature to be worried about it. I mean,
of course it would.
She may have been, more mature than perhaps children today are at that age, having been brought up, to go and be a maid of honor at court, and that having a very different upbringing. But to even like to travel by sea and to to be going to somewhere where there's this powerful female ruler and you're going to be, serving her. That must have been, you'd be terrified, surely.
You would. And her very thoughts were, what if I don't like her? What if she doesn't like me? What if the girls don't like me? What if I don't fit in? Of course, we know that she did, and she tried very, very hard to be bright and personable, which shows the Anne we love. But I think, I'd have been scared.
Yes. Yeah, that's surely human nature to at least be nervous about such a big journey and such a, it was a real opportunity, and she wouldn't have wanted to have let down her father, would she, when he'd nicely fixed it all up for her.
Absolutely. So it was a very big, opportunity. It was fabulous. But again, for a child, it would have been a hard one. Yeah. So that was sticky.
And what about the other characters in those two books? Do you have a favourite character apart from Anne in those books?
I think because I knew nothing about Margaret of Austria before I started writing, she's an absolute darling. She's a lovely, lovely lady from what I've read. And there's only a handful of books about her. There's not a great deal. And she put up with so much. She had a sad life and her husband's died. And, she wrote beautiful poetry, gorgeous poetry. And all these things that she collected. She had this wonderful museum of objects. And everybody seemed to love Margaret. All the rulers of the time called her the Aunt of Europe, because they would go to her for advice and all the rest of it. And, she was great friends with Henry. They always sent gifts to each other and letters. They were very much in touch. And I thought, oh, isn't that lovely? Henry really likes Margaret. Yes, Margaret. So, yeah, she was a fascinating fascinating woman to me. And the other one I loved was Louise of Savoy in France, which is, you know, Francois' mother, because everybody hated her. And it's great to have a baddie in a book. You know, because she was dishonest, she was this, she was that. She couldn't move without consulting the stars, everything about her. And I really got to not like her, because nobody liked her, but I enjoyed writing about her. Yeah, she was great fun.
There's got to be a baddie, hasn't there?
Oh, there always has to be. And it's good because then you've got a bit of angst, you've got a bit of concerns, you know, meeting this black spider of a woman. And she was very, very intimidating. I mean, she intimidated Claude. But I mean, her daughter and Francois, I mean, they adored her, as you would. She's mum, you know. But she was a formidable woman. And yeah, that was interesting. But the other thing is Anne's mum, Anne Boleyn's mother, started to develop in my mind as well, of how she felt about things. It's her daughter, and she's often sidelined, and we don't hear much about her. And I thought, I wonder what her views were on all this, and, you know, losing Anne abroad. So it's good.
But you'd pick Margaret as your next favourite.
Yeah, definitely Margaret. She's an absolutely fascinating time and a tragic end. So sad what happened, you know. But that's for a later time.
Yeah. And what an opportunity, you know, Anne had spending time with these formidable women, you know, like Margaret, like Louise. Yeah, not just, you know, seeing people like Francis I, not just seeing sort of artists and writers and that, but seeing women who were strong, who were perhaps defying the norms of culture and society at the time.
Very much so. I mean, she was watching all the time. People like Francois de Foix, who was Francis's mistress. Francois could do anything with Francois. You know, she was very strident. She was very hot and cold with him, and Anne was watching all of this all the time. And I think she's a fascinating woman at the court as well. And I have imaginings of conversations with her, and, you know, all the people around Claude and Francois are very, very interesting. But Marguerite, obviously, the sister of Francois, who was so clever. And I can just see Anne listening to all of this stuff, all of these views and opinions, and developing her tastes and her thoughts.
Yeah, it's no wonder that she was so different when she came back from being abroad. You know, she must have stood out when she got back to the English court. I'm convinced that she was very, very different from, you know, other girls her age when she got back.
Absolutely. I mean, as I said, she was like a French woman born, so we've got the accent maybe and the confidence. She'd have got an amazing confidence from that trip, and for speaking to those people. So you're absolutely right. She would have been very different.
Now, you've hinted that you're writing. So are there any more books planned in this series? What do we have next? The Falcons, what?
Yay, finally finished it. It's finished. The Falcons triumph.
Oh, I love it.
Yes. So I was going to go straight into the Falcons fall, whereby I would do 1522. Anne comes back to England, and we go right the way to her execution. That would have been pretty big and taken me forever. So I've decided to do Falcon's triumph. So we've got Anne back in England and all the story leading up to coronation and this wonderful future ahead of her. What could possibly go wrong? And after that, Falcon's fall will be from the coronation to the end. We hope.
You finished the Falcon's triumph.
Yes.
And you moving straight on to the Falcon's fall, or are you having a bit of a break?
I might have a bit of a break just to get around and do other stuff I want to do. Although that's always a bad thing to do because you're out of the zone. If I can carry on straight into it, it's better than trying to pick up 6 months later. It really takes a long time, I find, to get back into what was going off. At the moment, it's a bit like, you know, you've got 6 chariot horses with all these reins, and you've got all this information that it's in your head now. and that does tend to go over time. So maybe when the winter comes, when I'm kept inside and it's cold, I'll start on that one. But yeah, so at last,
I can't wait to read it.
Oh.
And are there any other Tudor figures that you'd like to write a novel about? I mean, obviously you've done so much research into Margaret. Would you ever be tempted to write a novel about her? Or
Maybe. I mean, at the moment, I've not thought about any other Tudor figures at all. I really haven't got that far into the future. No, there's nobody else that really grabs me. I don't know. I mean, what about you? Does anybody grab you to write about other than Anne?
oh, yeah, lots of people actually. Anne mainly, but
Yeah.
Lady Margaret Douglas,
Oh,
actually.
yes. Yes. Now that would be interesting. Yeah. I
Because
think,
that's a woman that, was very close to the throne and
yeah,
managed to get herself into fixes quite often.
she did. Yeah. I think if it was going to be somebody, it would be somebody less known, somebody on the periphery.
Mm,
So, it just makes it a bit more interesting for me to do the research
yeah.
and all of that. Um, but I can't think, yeah, I might get a hint from, I don't know. I don't know yet. I think get these out of the way first.
Yes. Yeah. Concentrate on one thing
That's
at a
one, yes.
time.
Oh,
A fun question. So,
mm,
if your books were made into a film or a
yeah.
TV series, who would you like cast as your Anne Boleyn?
Well, I've thought about this so much. And I actually, yesterday, I was looking through all the images of French actresses that like it to be French. And there's nobody that just captured what I wanted. I mean, you're looking at somebody who must play a girl between, say, 16 and 28. So that's going to be tricky. Uh, would it be an unknown? Possibly, a young unknown. Um, and then the actress I really like, French actress I like, is Eva Green. She played Vespa in
Yes.
James Bond's The Casino Royale
Hmm.
with Daniel Craig. I think she's got a lovely look. Take all the makeup off, obviously. But she's 45 now, so that's no good.
Yes.
Uh,
She could play the later Anne.
she could. I just don't know. Have you got any thoughts who you like?
No, no, I really
I,
don't.
I just I see these wonderful what's the word recreations of Anne on the internet, and they're fabulous. But no one in my mind looks quite like them, so I can't think. Oh, she looks like so and so. I
Yes.
know it's got to be somebody who's I don't know captivating, uh, sparkling, just different, as you say, different.
Do you have a favourite Anne from, films or TV series that's already been
Um,
done that's not your Anne, but like obviously
yeah,
like Natalie Portman, Natalie Dormer, Claire
yeah,
Foy, there's all
yeah.
sorts, aren't there?
I love.
Geneviève Bujold.
Oh yes, yeah. I love Natalie Dormer, but I prefer Claire Foy for a more realistic. Obviously, it's a totally different thing, isn't it? Um, I like Claire Foy's interpretation of Anne, but again, we just see this sort of petulant side. We don't see the softer side, so it's a bit one-dimensional there. But I do like Claire's performance. Did you like it?
No.
Did you not? Did you not?
No,
Why?
I
Why?
didn't. Well, I don't like Wolf Hall as a
Oh my
no,
golly, I
no.
adore it.
I kept putting it down and thinking, no, I've really got to read this. But I
You
didn't,
didn't enjoy it.
it just didn't, it wasn't, yeah, I don't know. It was the pacing, the point of view, the tense, her depiction, Mantel's depiction of the men. I
Mm.
just, I came away from the first book, Wolf Hall, just, well, I'm bring up the body, is just thinking I don't like any of the characters. And I have to have, when I'm reading a fictional book, there has to be one character that I like or that draws me in.
Okay.
And not even Cromwell. I thought all of them were horrible and nobody grabbed me. And I just read it because I had to.
Right. It's really interesting. Yeah. That they are. I know a lot
I
of
can
people.
appreciate it,
Mm,
and I can understand why other people like it,
mm.
but it wasn't for me.
No, I know quite a few people who just do not like it at all.
Mm.
The whole interpretation of it.
It was
And
just my gut reaction when I was reading it. It was quite a
yeah,
strong reaction. I just didn't
you,
like it. You know when you don't like something,
yes,
don't you?
yes,
And
absolutely.
normally I would just put it down and not bother with it, but because it
Mm.
was in the Anne Boleyn,
You
I
have to
had
keep.
to,
You
I had
have
to
to.
read
You
it.
have to. Yeah, I had it on audio, which was a lot easier as an audio book.
Yes, perhaps that would have been better.
Really much easier. I tend to have more audio stuff now. Um, but yeah, I mean, for romance, obviously, Genevieve Bujold was just gorgeous, but it's so romanticized,
Yes.
as was Natalie Dawn was beautiful, absolutely lovely. And, I actually enjoyed the Tudors. Did you enjoy it?
Yes, I did.
I enjoyed it. I mean, it's like, I actually liked it.
I liked seeing a vibrant Henry VIII instead of the always, later Henry VIII, that they focus on the overweight,
Yeah,
tyrannical kind of.
yeah,
I liked the fact that Jonathan Rhys-Meyers could be this vibrant Henry
yeah.
VIII who was arrogant and who had that brutal streak, but was
He
also
was,
charming.
wasn't he
And,
just?
you could understand people, men and women, just
Yeah,
willing to give their lives for him. He was a real
the
charmer.
charmer. He was. You're absolutely right. And wasn't Catherine of Aragon wonderful? I thought
Mm.
she was portrayed
Oh
beautifully.
yes, I do love Maria Doyle
Maria
comedy.
Doyle,
She could do no
gorgeous.
wrong in my
Nor me, nor me. She's one of my favourite actresses. I absolutely adore her. So apart from all the silly costumes and all the, body stripping stuff, I did enjoy that. I thought
Yeah, and the
Natalie.
inaccuracies that you
Oh
could chuck
yeah,
out the window. I did like Natalie Dormer's vulnerability.
yes, yes,
That side.
yes, absolutely. When she was quarrelling with Henry and Elizabeth in her arms, I love that bit.
Yeah,
But I mean, the great thing about those, you know, series is they get people interested. And
yeah,
that's fantastic. If from there people go on to read more about Anne, that's what we want. And job well done.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, what's the biggest myth or misconception about Anne Boleyn that you'd really like to bust, to just never hear of again, for everyone to shut up about it and it just stop?
That she didn't love Henry.
Okay.
Everybody I talk to says, "Oh, she didn't love him. She never loved him." No, 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 no. I think she did. I'm sure that Anne loved Henry and vice versa. Do you think she loved
Yes.
him? I really
Yes.
do.
I think she loved him. I'm not entirely sure whether it was love from him or whether it was more of a kind of obsession.
Yeah, but would an obsession last that long? That's a heck of a long time, wasn't it?
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
but also a man like Henry, he wouldn't accept anything but the real thing. A half baked, a quite like he wouldn't have done. I think he
Mm.
wanted the real deal. And I think that she loved him and he loved her. Initially, it may have been, as you say, an obsession, a passion. But they were so alike, and they were energetic. They had the same taste in things, young. And of course, when the divorce was going through, they both had the same goal. It was driving them forward together. Uh, yeah, so this thing
Yeah, they
that
were very similar in many ways. Yeah.
absolutely compared to old, staid poor old Catherine, this young, vibrant girl,
Yes.
must have been magical. But
And I think he just wanted to grab hold of that bit of Renaissance. She'd come from Francis's court, that, and he
yes,
was very competitive with
yes,
Francis.
he
And I just
was.
think that was also him grabbing onto a bit of the Renaissance, capturing that.
Yes, you're absolutely spot on there. Absolutely. And he married young, or he was involved with Catherine quite young, and maybe that was Henry the boy, you know, and this was the real love of his life. Um,
Mm.
I don't know. Hopefully,
Only for him to then turn around and kill her.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
This is the whole
But then
tragic,
love does can turn to hate, can't it?
completely and very quickly as well. Um, when he wasn't getting what he wanted, what was it all about? Because I don't think for a minute he really, really, really wanted to go through all this break with Rome and all this, mess he got himself into. I think it wasn't worth his while at the end of it. Got nothing for it, and he was, old Orthodox. He was Orthodox Catholic, but yeah.
And if you could ask Anne one question and get an honest answer, what would it be?
Did you want Henry or the crown? Okay. What was it? Did you love Henry the man or Henry the king? What was it what did you want? I don't think for a minute you'd say I went for the crown. I really don't.
No, I don't either.
No, I don't think I just don't think you do that. Be interesting if you said, yeah, crown.
Yeah, so
right, couldn't stand
that would really change things.
Yeah, hated the sight of him, and I went.
Yes, actually, I was the ambitious Anne that you spend all your time arguing against. Yes, I was playing games.
I know. Oh, right, into the fire with that.
I'd ask her about her birthday.
Oh yes, do you know that is. Why didn't I think of that? That's absolutely.
When were you born? She might not know.
Wow. Yeah, I forgot about that. Definitely that one. Definitely. Yeah. Will we ever find out?
I don't think we will. I think we would have by now, but you never know because things are being discovered all the time. But
could be lurking somewhere in some hidden document or something, and we could all be wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
But I don't think we are. I think within a year or two we've got it more or less right. I think. But yes, of course, when was she actually born? What month? Yeah.
Yeah. And if you could have a bit of a dinner party and invite 3 historical figures, not just Tudor, any historical figures, who would they be? So limit it to 3.
Okay, well, one's not really historical, but the first one obviously would be Anne herself. I'd have sit Anne down with a recorder, and she wouldn't be moving for months. I wanted every minute of her life recorded and what she said, so that'd be fantastic. The second one, Duke of Wellington. I think he's absolutely fascinating, and I think he would have been a little bit like Duke of Edinburgh, very witty and sharp and just great. I mean, I love military history and just asking him questions about the time, Napoleonic times, and really interesting. And the third one is not really historical character at all. Cary Grant.
Well, that is historical. He is history now.
Cary Grant. Any man who says...
Just that you could gaze at him across the table.
Any man who says, when I kiss a girl, she stays kissed. You're on my list. Yeah, you're coming to my dinner party.
Let's have like quite a good dinner party.
Stays kissed. I did think about Michelangelo. I thought he could just sign the napkin for me. That'd be great, wouldn't it? Yeah, got his signature.
I do change this, but at the moment I'm thinking that I'd have Anne.
Yes.
So you'd have Anne as well. So I'd bring along to your dinner party. I'd bring with me Thomas Wyatt and George Boleyn.
Oh, yes.
They could regale us with poetry.
Wouldn't that be brilliant? Yeah. And again, find out truth of what went on.
Yes.
What were they really like? Oh, how lovely. Yeah.
I probably wouldn't understand a word they said to each other because they'd be talking about, really, intelligent things. But I think I'd just like listening.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, there's so many. Trying to whittle it down to 3 is practically impossible.
Yeah.
There's just so many people. But one day, if I ever get to heaven, I would like my heaven to be to see what actually happened, to go back in history and float in and out invisibly and go, oh, that's what she said. That's what happened. Wow. I'd love that.
Yeah, me too. Okay, now for some trivia, something completely different.
Go on.
What's a completely unrelated hobby or interest of yours that your readers might be surprised to learn about?
Well, there's a couple actually. One is I used to do Regency reenactment, and I used to ride side saddle in a Regency dress on horseback at events at country houses and things.
Oh,
and that was all rather lovely. Yes, terrified. don't bolt. And that was great. And I also love singing, and I've always sung in choirs or whatever. And this is an interesting little fact that actually very few people know about. So just between you and me, when I was about 18 years old, I got a phone call, and this lovely husky voice rather said, "Hi, it's Kate Bush. I'm just wondering if you'd come down to London and audition for my backing singers." And, "Oh, okay, I'll come back to you." Phone down. "Mum, don't you even think about it. You're not going down to London and giving up doing your degree. You stay here and you get your degree."
Oh, no, you turned down Kate Bush.
"Sorry, Kate, I've got to do my degree."
Oh,
I can't believe it. And friends at college were saying, "Look, how much for her phone number? Come on, how much?" And I burnt it immediately after I put the phone down. I burnt her number, so nobody could get it. Can you imagine now? I turned her down and said, "Sorry, Kate. Sorry about that. Mum
you
won't
need
let
to
me."
get in touch with her.
40 years ago. What? Who? Well, we had the same music teacher. That's how it happened. She was, her music teacher was Gordon Farrell, and he was mine too. I think he must have suggested to her, "Oh, give Nat a ring." Yeah, I was about 18.
So what album could you have been on then?
Well, golly, if I was 18, she must have been 20 something. I don't know. I don't want to think about it. I mean,
Wow.
wow.
It's one of those sliding doors kind of moments, isn't it?
I know, isn't it?
Your life could have gone a completely different way.
I know. "Mum, you're not going to London." No.
But everything happens for a reason. You wouldn't be doing what you do now, perhaps, if you...
No, probably not. But I still often wonder. I do wonder.
Yeah.
But I've forgotten that story. I'd forgotten. Very few people know that.
Wow. Tim really loves Kate Bush as well.
Oh, she was gorgeous. I love her voice and everything about her.
Yeah.
So that's a story for Tim.
That's a great one. Thank you for that. That's brilliant. All right, well, I can't come up with anything that's exciting.
Oh, no. It's probably the most exciting thing I can think of. But yeah.
Wow. Okay, now when you're writing, tea, coffee, or wine?
A cold drink with lots of ice cubes.
Okay, so none of those.
No. Window wide open, rain or sun. Big glass of a soft drink with lots of ice cubes.
Well, like squash or juice.
Anything like that, yeah. Wine would send me to sleep.
Yeah.
Maybe a cup of tea. But invariably, I'm sure you're the same, it sits there going cold.
Yes.
You've got so wrapped up in something, you think, "Oh, not drunk my tea." So yeah, so always the cold drink. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. This has just been lovely reconnecting with you. And you have some great answers. That was perfect. Thank you so much, Natalie, for sharing all of these insights with me and my followers. And I am glad, and I'm sure my followers will be glad as well, that you did turn down Kate Bush, because I'm not sure that these books would have been written, for us to enjoy otherwise.
I wonder. Well, yeah, who knows? But thank you ever so much, Claire. And
it's been a real pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you do. And I can't wait so the next one is the Falcon's Triumph. Then you'll be working on the Falcon's
Fall. Yeah, and it should be off the publisher very, very soon now.
Okay, so I will keep everyone updated on the progress of that. So thank you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you.
Thank you again. All right. Bye-bye, Claire.